The Colorado Avalanche have one major problem in their lineup as opposed to all of the great additions they've made this season, with several key players getting hot at the right time, but one player getting cold at the wrong time. The Avalanche could possibly have a serious problem on their hands if that doesn't get corrected soon, but we're going to go over all of the amazing things that the Colorado Avalanche have done this season and in this recent stretch. But before we do, let's open with our favorite reading again. A relationship without trust is like a phone without service. And what do you do with a phone without service? You play games. Let's stop playing games in this relationship and subscribe to Colorado Avalanche Digest, your number one source for all of your Avalanche news, and you'll never have to look again for another channel. So let's get right into it.
That's the
So
thing.
we all know Nathan.
Did all they could to try to
He's
get
an amazing
tied with
player.
Chicago. Here's McKinnon, and with a rip shot,
Absolutely
he
one of the best,
scores!
has been the best
Nathan Magnan
player
and rips
in
it
the
glove
last
side,
few seasons.
and he rips it home clean.
Better than
Has
Dave,
Gustafsson.
better than,
The Avs have staked them side left all the way around. Hitton and awaits. He'll steer it. The boards couldn't clear. Strome. Right up top of Lacombe, far side Terry. In the circle, couldn't center it. Taken away by Nichushkin, and now we'll find Rantanen. He'll find McKinnon, who shoots. Buck 15 to go here in period 2.
So impressive.
Brandon trying to force the turnover. Makes it. Finds McKinnon. Down shoots. Score!
Problem lately with his overall stat line. As you can see, obviously, this is a more of a human being, Nathan McKinnon, not the immortal god that we all know him as. Recently, in this last 5-game stretch, he's actually under a point per game. Just 2 assists in the Dallas and Toronto series, and a goal in the Ottawa game. And a lot of those points have actually only been coming on the power play. So it's a little bit concerning for Nathan McKinnon on the 5-on-5 stretch. Now, am I worried about Nathan McKinnon? Absolutely not. He's amazing. He can turn it up at any time, but you're starting to notice a stretch where he's actually kind of underplaying, which is definitely a major problem for the Avalanche because you do not want him going into the playoffs cold. He is such an amazing playoff player in general, but this season's actually kind of been a down year in his overall goal-scoring ability. So you're hoping that at least by the end of the season, he can get that 28 mark to about a 35 mark, and that's kind of what he's on pace to do. And he's already on pace for about, I think, 129 points. So again, we're just splitting hairs here, and we're complaining about a player who's only going to get 129 points or something like that. So he's been absolutely amazing this season, but you're seeing that goal scoring go down a little bit. You're hoping he can get it back up, and you're hoping that the stretch where he doesn't really play that well doesn't continue. However, it is important to note that looking at the recent game against Montreal and looking at the overall stat line in general for the Avs, it's actually great news that players like Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon don't get a single point in this game, and yet the Avalanche still dominate. I mean, your defense had 2 goals in this game, and 3 points. I think Devon Taves got a piece of one of them too. So 3 points by a defender, 2 goals, and not one of them is Cale Makar. Your offense and your power play delivered, and not a single point by Nathan McKinnon. Now, Nathan McKinnon did have an actually amazing feed to Valerie Nichushkin in the slot on that power play goal, but Nichushkin then touched it over to Druin, who then passed it over to Netjes. So while it was an absolutely surgical play, unfortunately, Nathan McKinnon doesn't get credited for it. And a lot like me, I think Nathan McKinnon could use a little bit of Dayquil to help him wake him up, because he's seeming a little under the weather right now in his play, and I am too, but we are pushing through it. Now, kind of getting over to the more meat of what I wanted to talk about, this is the current stat line for all of the Avs forward this season. The cutoff is Charlie Coyle at 2 points, and pretty much everyone under that has 0 points, so they're not really of note, no offense to them. But as you can see, you have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar leading the pack. And then the third is actually Mikko Rantanen. So his influence is still felt on this team for what he accomplished this season. I mean, 64 points in 49 games. That's an insane contribution. That's over a 100-point pace. As you can see, Arturi Lehkonen, though, 27 goals and 43 points. He is having an unreal season, and he's going to legitimately hit 30 for the first time in his career. You see Devon Taves, the amazing number 2 defenseman that the Avalanche have, chipping in. Casey Middlestat, even though he really wasn't producing to what you would want. Still was chipping in a little bit. Jonathan Drouin, unfortunately, missed almost the first half of the entire season. But that is actually a 70-point pace that Jonathan Drouin is at. And it's the same for Valeri Nichushkin. Nichushkin is only going to play something like 42 games. He's only going to play half the season. And yet he's still on pace to hit basically like 25 goals because he's got 18 at this current moment. It's just an absolutely amazing pace that Valeri Nichushkin has in this lineup. You see Ross Colton's assists are starting to pick up. I mean, and if you go down the lineup, you can see a lot of guys are starting to contribute, and you also see Brock Nelson and some of the newer additions also getting on the board in the very short stretch they've been on the Avs. So it's very encouraging news to see that when the Avs' top stars aren't actually playing all that well, when McKinnon goes quiet, Makar and the depth help out. When Makar goes quiet, you would hope McKinnon and the depth help out as well. But when both go quiet, McKinnon and Makar, usually you would see the Avs lose. And yet that's not actually happening. You're seeing a lot of the middle six carrying this team in the last 5 games, which is just amazing to see. One player I want to highlight since the trade for Mikko Rantanen is Martin Necas. Obviously, you can see, and yes, it is pronounced Necas. That's how he said it. Although you can say, honestly, whatever you want. His name is up to complete interpretation, so it really doesn't matter. But, yeah, we use Necas here. And he's got 75 points. So he's on an over a point per game pace as well in 71 games, having 75 points. And he has just been absolutely amazing coming to Colorado. Under the system of Rod Brindamore, honestly, he was kind of trapped in that Carolina system. And if you're a star, there are serious reservations you have about going to Carolina, which is something that organization is going to have to deal with. That stars don't want to go there and immediately not get as much ice time. They're not going to play as much offense. So really, Martin Necas was kind of handicapped in North Carolina, and now he's basically been freed. He is one of the fastest players in the league. And you see on that power play, when you're looking at the Avs power play, this is just like in context of all the people that they've brought in, but you see on that Avs power play how dynamic it is, how many people they can have that make zone entries. Drouin is good at it. Nathan McKinnon is the obvious one, but then he passes it over to Martin Necas, and Martin Necas just walks right in. It is just amazing how many options they have on that power play. And to put it into perspective, this is the amount of Avalanche acquisitions this season. Take a look at that. I mean, I don't know who John Pork is from the Minnesota Wild. I never heard of that person in my life. That kind of sounds like a made-up person, but everyone else has been a massive impact to this team. You get Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood, the lumber yard, your new goaltending tandem. You got Jack Drury and Martin Necas over from Carolina. Jack Drury honestly has the skill to be a 3C, but he's being a 4C right now, which is perfect. And then Jimmy VC, a bit of a slower guy, but definitely a good extra forward to bring in. Ryan Lindgren looks like a new man since joining the Avs, and obviously Brock Nelson has just been great in these past few games. Charlie Coyle is helping to chip in defensively and a little bit offensively as well. And Eric Johnson is just here for the vibes, and it is so great to have him back. And it's just been amazing to watch the transformation for this Avalanche team. Now, looking at this lineup, this was the lineup at the beginning of the season, and you can see just how much turnaround there is. Obviously, Valeri Nichushkin was still suspended at this time, so he wasn't allowed to be with the team. But you can see Casey Middlestat no longer here. And then you also got to remember Jonathan Drouin and Arturi Lehkonen were also injured. So you got to kind of scratch those guys out and fill them up with whatever AHLers they had. Mikko Rantanen is no longer here. That third line has been completely restructured. Colton has moved on to the right wing. Logan O'Connor is down on the fourth line, and Wood is not even in this lineup, probably for the better. And, of course, Parker Kelly is still a mainstay. And Yoel Kiviranta actually got a promotion from being on the fourth line to the third. So, and that's not even talking about the fluctuations on the goalie side, where both goalies were moved out for the first time in NHL history before December. And then you're also seeing a lot of turnaround with the bottom pairing. I mean, Sam Malinsky has actually managed to keep a job here, but Calvin DeHaan was moved out. They had Oliver Shillington that was moved out. Just a lot of turnaround on this roster in general. And that's why it is so amazing to see how this team is prevailing when the top guys aren't playing. However, if the top guys like Nathan MacKinnon continue to underproduce, then that is going to be a major problem for the Colorado Avalanche. I'm not worried, however. I think they're going to bounce back, and I can't wait to see what this team does for the next 3 months of hockey. This has been Avalanche Digest. Have a good one, Abs Faithful.